Up next is a leaders' discussion on the topic 5G and cloud, creating new opportunities for digital enterprises. But our speakers will talk about navigating 5G ecosystem with open innovations, turbocharging cloud to deliver for the next generation performance of engineering operations with the engineering cloud. Our speakers for this leaders' discussion are Shyam Mardikar, President, Group CTO, Mobility, Reliance Jio. Shyam is a technology thought leader with more than 24 years in telecommunications industry across network and IT domains in strategy, planning, engineering, and operations across India and Europe. And joining him is Dr. Mallik Tatipamula, CTO, Ericsson, Silicon Valley. As the CTO of Ericsson Silicon Valley, Dr. Mallik leads evolution of Ericsson's technology solutions and champions the company's next phase of innovation and growth driven by 5G distributed multi-cloud deployments. He also leads early 6G research efforts. Moderating this leaders discussion is Supria Dhanda, Executive Board Member, ABS India Private Limited. Supria is a business leader with more than 25 years of corporate experience in leading technology companies. Her last assignment was Country Manager India and Vice President for Western Digital, provider of data storage solutions. Currently, she serves as a board member for ABS India, a leading system integrator in the telecommunications industry, and she's responsible for driving transformation and growth imperatives. Pleasure to have all three of you join us here this afternoon. Over to you, Supria.
Thank you, Justin. Very excited to be here at the Nasscom Design and Engineering Summit 2022. I'll be moderating the session on 5G and cloud and what wonderfully new opportunities it's going to create for digital enterprises. And as Justin has already shared the profiles of the esteemed panelists, I can't wait for the dialogue to get started. Come 5G network, the fifth generation of network, and we are all reimagining the design of the new business network infrastructure. There is promise of huge computational power being unleashed. There's also increasingly great promise of low latency, resilient connectivity, greater capacity, and of course, faster network speeds. These are all going to be significantly major catalysts, particularly for the world of cloud computing and edge computing. Well, what is the promise of subscription? Come 2023, and we are looking at this deployment of the next generation, accessing and enabling a new business adoption of cloud, which anyway we are seeing on the rise in the last few years. There is also promise of 1 billion 5G, the fifth generation of network subscriptions, which is almost amounting to 20% of the mobile data traffic. Now that's significant. People are waiting for 5G potential to be unlocked. And there are these two gentlemen we are going to talk to, and we will discuss the world of opportunities that's going to open up. Welcome, Shyam, and welcome, Mallik.
Thank you, Supria. Glad to be here.
Lovely. My first question is to Shyam. How is 5G network different and its deployment different from the 4G? And with recent announcements of this aggressive Jio's 5G strategic rollout, what do we see as happening differently?
Let me start with the first part, Supria. And actually, you very beautifully set the context around hyper compute and hyper connectivity, if I may borrow some of the words. But starting with the differences, I think 5G brings about two very fundamental and paradigm shifts from the earlier technologies. And these shifts actually paved the way for a total and complete digital transformation, if I may. First of it is, unlike earlier technologies, 5G is not connectivity only technology. Connectivity, it does offer a higher bandwidth, it does offer a better spectral efficiency, faster data pipes, but that's just one part of the whole architectural evolution. For the first time in the history of communication, I think compute and connectivity are now amalgamated as one. And I like to, for one, call it the convergence of the holy trinity of the communication. So there is connectivity, there is compute, and there is storage. And for the first time, there is one technology which kind of runs a thread across all of these three and makes sure that not only the technology reaches out as a connectivity bearer, a technical word which we use for vehicle, but along with that connectivity bearer, there is ability to compute and process, there is ability to store. And that actually gives us the strength of the technological transformation that is going to unleash. The second shift is around the overall native automation and management and security capabilities in 5G. Historically, what has happened is product and management are kind of separate from each other, adjacent to each other at their best. So you have the product and then you have the management capabilities of that product wrapped around it. 5G for the first time actually blends in the management capabilities, the security interfaces, the operational APIs right into the product itself. So what happens then, and I'll take the example of the true standalone capability, the kind of network which we at Jio are trying to build. It actually drives around an elasticity all of 5G. It could be a bespoke avatar for a faster mobile communication. It could be a bespoke avatar for a low latency capability, which a particular industry desire, or a massive machine communication where we'll have billions of sensors plugged in together. And all of them need different versions of 5G. And 5G has the capability to provide all those different versions, almost customized specifically for mobile users or home users or enterprise use cases. And what we are trying to do at Jio, now coming to the other part which you asked, is we want to address 100% of the digital needs of Indians in a very comprehensive manner, starting with faster speed and low latency for mobile, a complete suite for homes. And homes is not only now connectivity or broadband, it's about entertainment, it's about collaboration, it's about capability, it's about security within the home, it's about machine control and an automated home, smart homes, if I may use the word. And then finally, the biggest breakthrough which the technology has unleashed is around Industry 4.0. We are talking about specific enterprise solution around industry verticals, be it manufacturing, be it education and health. And I think with this, our agenda is simple. India should be able to leapfrog as a digital leader in the global space with this very, very compelling and comprehensive vehicle of 5G getting into play.
Awesome, Shyam. I'm totally excited. And what I love is the holy, the Trinity. That's brilliant. We've just given a new definition to this, and I'm sure the viewers are going to love this one. Thank you. You also touched upon Industry 4.0, enabling that. So Mallik, my question to you is Ericsson, I was reading through various blogs, and there's so much interesting stuff out there. You call it the network compute fabric, which has substantial impact on digitalization of the world. For example, Industry 4.0. How does this work? What impact is it going to bring? So would you talk to us about that?
Absolutely, Supria. I think in response to what Shyam said, network compute fabric is a way to fuse connectivity and compute capabilities and create a unified fabric for both of them. Why are we doing it? As Shyam said, it's driven by emerging applications. So there are two trends that are driving network compute fabric. The first one is offloading the compute from the central data center or central cloud to the network edges. And that offloading compute closer to the network edges is primarily driven by low latency industrial IoT applications. So where 5G can enable connection of billions of devices and machines and robots. And these IoT devices are generating massive amount of telemetry data. The question is that how do you process, analyze, and act on this telemetry data in real time? So that is driving offloading compute all the way from central data center towards the network edges. The second trend that's driving is offloading compute from devices to the network edges. Mm-hmm. The emerging applications, the computing sensitive or computing intensive applications such as augmented reality or virtual reality, online gaming, they all need on-device computing. But the challenge is that the moment you have on-device computing, the devices become bulkier. So the goal is that how do you make devices lightweight, smaller form factors by offloading some of the computing to the network edges. Now you can see there are two types of offloading computing is happening. One from central data center towards the network edges. The other one from the emerging devices like AR, VR devices, on-device computing towards the network edges. So that's causing for us to look at creating network compute fabric, where we not only provide the connectivity, but process the data on top of the network edges. So the network compute fabric transforms the 5G networks from pure connectivity platform to innovation platform, where one can really create new use cases towards industries, enterprises, or even immersive experiences for consumers, like watching cricket on, with 8K streaming on your smartphones. So these are the potentials of network compute fabric that we can envision that can be realized with 5G.
Awesome. Awesome. And you simplified it so beautifully. It's almost like this is something which is sandwiching the entire thing and kind of re-architecting and making sure it works. Brilliant. Thank you. Thanks for that. Like, Shyam, when you're looking at this entire, like you said, bespoke, it's almost like customized world out there and therefore different use cases. I mean, that's kind of coming across very clearly from what you and Mallik are talking about. But there is this entire aspect of network operations. There is going to be a huge need to transform them to make sure they're ready for this new world of 5G and cloud. So what innovation are we expecting, or what are you planning in terms of that network operations being transformed?
Supria, I'm really glad you touched upon this aspect. I think most of the discussion about technology and 5G that happens in the world, we somehow very conveniently assume that applications will take care of themselves and somebody will keep the light bulbs connected. And it's one of the most intensive and most important thing as far as applications are concerned. Our network operation, and thankfully, I think, and I think that we have an edge over other operators there a bit. We started late, it's only a 15-year-old operation, so we did not have any baggage of legacy at that point in time. We believe we're already transforming our operations through a framework of data-driven automated workflow. We actually, and Mallik alluded to it, I think on a daily basis, we actually capture hundreds of billions of network events every day. And this number is as mind-boggling as it sounds. And imagine a system, a workflow which actually continuously processes these hundreds of billions of events, links all these events in a real-time scenario to digital and physical actions to enhance performance. It could be a configuration change, it could be built of the antenna, it could be adding capacity on an internet link, and all of that. And all of these actions are actually data-driven at this point of time. With advent of 5G, what we believe is going to happen is, and I also did refer to the fact that the second shift is around the open interfaces and the management interfaces which are native to the architecture. We will get capabilities around open interfaces, APIs, which will help us scale and optimize our analytics much more efficiently. The whole AI ML modeling is not these days. I think it is the rubber which is actually hitting the road now. We've got a number of a plethora of AI ML algorithms which are actually processing the customer experience, processing the network performance, and making sure that these events get processed structurally and are acted upon structurally. So that's one big thing that is going to happen. The other thing, and actually to the title of the whole discussion which we are having, I think we at Jio believe that 5G and cloud are actually complementary to each other in the digital space. I think we actually see them largely as two necessary conditions to actually catapult us into the next level. Together, they actually enhance the power of digital exploration. With distributed edge compute and cloud, which Mallik spoke about, coupled with the hyperconnectivity, which is the conventional 5G connectivity business, I think we would be able to offer, and again, going back to same bespoke, ubiquitous, specific to the customer. I mean, there is no general purpose services which will be left out by the time 5G actually get embedded in its full glory. We will have a special service for Supria, a special service for Mallik, and so on and so forth. Because network will understand what you want, will kind of adapt itself to elastic resources, using this hypercompute and hyperconnectivity to deliver what you want. And again, I mean, just as an example, I mean, all of us watched the last over when Hardik Pandya hit the ball out of the stadium last week.
Oh, absolutely.
And I was actually wondering when I was looking at that match how different this is going to look in a few months from now, when the user will be able to repeat that particular divine stroke through multiple camera angles, through multiple video rendering, through multiple speeds, and the kind of fulfillment of viewing that is going to offer. It will all be on this whole hypercompute, hyperconnect delivery, which 5G will happen. And again, I want to close this by saying that this coupling is actually going to unleash capabilities on innovation in the coming next 5-6 years as 5G gets embedded, that the world, especially the communication telco world, has never seen before.
Outstanding. You touched my heart completely, and I think of the viewers when you talk about cricket and that last over. I mean, that was fascinating. Shyam, I want to stay with you for a second more and say that, we understand technology, and this is largely where, the Design and Engineering Summit. But if you're looking at a user It's going to transform businesses, it's going to transform user experience. Talk to us a little bit about this entire world of OTT that we are all glued to, and it's almost become a bane as much as it's a good thing. But talk to us as to how is that world going to change with 5G? What as a user can we expect?
Very important point. And again, I'll step back into the history just to give you the context. If you look at the way connectivity and communications has evolved, there used to be a central intelligence around the world, which was network. And the devices were dumb. Some of us have grown with that world where we had those black phones, which could only sense the presence or absence of the current. There's absolutely nothing in the phone. And from those days, and that was hardly 25, 30 years back, in the last 3 decades, actually, there have been now 3 very independent and very humongous islands of intelligence. And first of it is the whole OTT space, the internet. In the amount of compute and storage and the processing and the content that is lying in internet is anybody's guess at this point of time. Second is the network intelligence. It is talking about 4G, 5G and the network systems will do it. And third set of brilliant intelligence is the devices which are ever evolved. I was actually reading a tweet and it's hardly, we've been reading about we're trying to send a man on the moon again. It's only 50 years ago when we did that. And I was reading a number. The amount of compute and storage that whole of NASA had in 1969 between Houston and Kennedy Center and all of that is hundreds and thousands of times less than what you and me carry in our pocket on small. Which means our devices today carry 1 billion NASA compute and 1 billion NASA storage and connectivity in our pocket. And multiply this by 8 billion people who actually carry the phones around. So that's the third island of intelligence. So what's going to happen as this kind of flattens up, the ability of these 3 islands of intelligence, and this is what we call it as the connected intelligence, able to negotiate the right set of service for the end user. And again, taking it away from the whole technology landscape to the user landscape, what is going to happen? Each device, each use case will have its own demand mechanism or a demand side story, which will get fulfilled in real time by a network system, by an OTT system that adapts itself, be it rendering of the right side of video, or be it giving you the right latency to the sensor on a device or a machine or a car which you're going to run, or as simple as a security or a monitoring or a tracking expert. So I think these multiple systems of intelligence talking to each other and I'm repeating this word often, but I think I can't repeat it too often to get it embedded on this interconnected network or thing. It's actually going to make sure that we get the full value of the connected intelligence across these 3 different islands of intelligence.
Outstanding. And I haven't missed the passion, Shyam, with which you're working at it and you're at the helm of it. And technology unleashing, it's just so infectious right now. Mallik, moving on to you, and we have a great segue here talking about this huge data when the devices are going to get connected, and they're already connected. And I think we're just increasing the speed and the efficiency and multiple things. Huge amount of data being unleashed. There is this entire concept of innovation that's coming in, data lakes, insights being distilled from that, which is where AI comes in. We cannot talk about innovation without AI being there, So what's the role that AI is going to play in the 5G network? Talk to us about that. Give us a little bit of anecdotes, use cases that we can all relate to.
Absolutely. So there are 2 types of data you can think of. One is the network maintenance and operational data that Shyam touched upon to really monitor the health of the network. Every network element, be it as a base station or packet code, they generate terabytes of operational data in terms of logs, alarms. So the idea is that it's humanly impossible to go through each and every log to figure out what is the vulnerability, what is the conditions of the network. So the idea is to move from that network management operations to more data-driven operations using AI, where AI as a cognitive layer really analyzes the network operational data and act on it, and then dynamically provisions the network accordingly based on the networking conditions. So I call it as automating network maintenance and operations. Traditionally, most of the network maintenance operations is manual, more repetitive and laborious. The idea is to how do we automate those maintenance operations using network generated operational data. The second thing, the mobile networks, it's all about providing greater coverage and capacity for end user, for consumer. So how do we use AI to optimize the network performance for better coverage and capacity?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the second aspect of it. And the third one you touched upon is how do we leverage AI to process the telemetry data coming from the sensors and robots and machines within the network so that you can come up with a greater insights, and take an action based on the health of that sensor or machine. One of the examples could be predictive maintenance repair of robots or machines in the smart factory floor.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go from reactive to more predictive maintenance using that telemetry data? So these are the primary use cases that we look at. How do we leverage AI in this data-driven world, both for network operations as well as enabling new revenue streams into industrial IoT verticals, crunching the telemetry data.
Awesome. I'm going to stay with you, Mallik, and ask you about what are your plans for the world? And of course, if you may touch upon India in specific in terms of there's this huge promise of 5G in advancing societies, enhancing and elevating user experiences, and of course, transforming industries. I love the coinage, I love the phrases, and there's so much of promise and potential. So what are the plans? What can we expect?
What can we expect? Just to start with Ericsson in India, we have powered India through generations of mobility, 2G, 3G, 4G. Now we are looking at 5G. 5G can certainly play an important role in achieving India's digital inclusion goals, especially in bringing broadband to remote areas, rural areas.
Mm-hmm.
And we expect by 2027, 40% of mobile subscriptions are going to be 5G based. It's almost 500 million mobile subscriptions in India by 2027.
Outstanding.
And we also expect the data traffic per smartphone. Currently, it's little over 20 GB, and we expect this to grow to 50 GB by 2027. So you can see the enormous growth in terms of enhanced mobile broadband traffic. But as you say, how do we extend this beyond enhanced mobile broadband, in digitizing industries, transforming enterprises, and creating much more hyper-connected societies? So we are continuing to innovate and work, co-create with the key, ecosystem players. So we have this D15 lab in Santa Clara, in California. We have D15 lab in Germany. The idea of D15 lab, essentially, it's a co-creation lab, bringing all the ecosystem players from industries and other verticals to create some of the use cases using 5G connectivity and network compute fabric, and show the value proposition of these use cases, how that can help various industries in terms of digital transformation. So as an example, we recently implemented $100 million smart factory here in Texas, and that's in operation right now. And we won the Global Lighthouse from World Economic Forum for that.
Awesome.
So we are looking at co-creating the use cases for enterprises, industries, and social good use cases such as smart farming, such as public safety. Now, with respect to India, we have been working with large ecosystem players.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we implemented connected drones for real-time inventory management in our factory in Pune. We also had connected drones for smart farming and public safety. And we have also experimented AR for remote support. So we have been trying to co-create these emerging use cases, how that can transform the industries and enterprises and advancing the society while we are seeing this world moving towards data-driven.
Awesome. I'm looking towards a much more safer, connected, healthier world, and hopefully the problems of farmers that we so passionately talk about, hopefully that'll be a thing of the past once this is technology being deployed to good use. Thank you so much. I mean, I think this is wonderful work that's happening, Mallik. It's very exciting. Shyam, Mallik spoke about the entire data usage that 4G today sits at around, 15 to 20, and in the next 5 years is predicted to be around, 40, gigabytes in the next 5 years. Clearly, this is going to open new doors for innovation, in consumer segments, enterprise, and there's a huge new 5G ecosystem that's kind of needs to be developed. So talk to us about that as to what is in the works and, how is this ecosystem coming together? Again, with focus on how you're looking at the world and also particularly for India.
Absolutely, Supriya. So innovation, I think, around digital will be at the heart of the digital transformation. And why I say this is because one of the biggest levers around 5G and go forward technology is around what we call as the programmability of the network. And the moment something is programmable, I think it opens doors for everybody to kind of go and have a crack at it the way you want it, the way you want to evolve it, the way you want to customize it, change it, create a use case around it. And that's how it is going to be. Obvious enhancements, and both you and Mallik spoke about, like higher data use. I think 15 GB to 40 GB, 50 GB, we believe it actually will go north of 50 GB by 2027. But they'll be driven by high quality content, for example, high quality devices, coupled with immersive experiences we are speaking about, new age collaboration tools like the ones we've just started to build on, customer engagement models on content discovery and social media. And all of that is actually going to catapult into a new age of consumption. A very, very heavy consumption. But that's a very obvious enhancement. I think what is also going to happen specifically on the enterprise side is this introduction of digital workflows. And this is going to fundamentally change the way the enterprises operate, cutting across the verticals. We're talking about robotics, we're talking about automatic control systems, we're talking about assembly lines in manufacturing, and all of them will enhance productivity and efficiency. And if you then zero it on India, I think it will actually bring about sea changes in the way we look at our big pillars of economy. I mean, if you look at health in India, for example, cutting across urban-rural divide. If you look at health in India, cutting across high-tech, low-tech version of treating patients, cutting across actually reaching to the patient with right kind of techniques and tools. I think this is going to change fundamentally. Education, again, same. Urban-rural design, content, right type of teaching, right kind of content material. PC on the cloud, we spoke about. We've had a chairman actually talking about PC on the cloud in the last AGM, and that is, I think, one of the biggest changes. And I think this is all a function of distributed compute and distributed connectivity or innovation. Agriculture, of course, you touched upon agriculture. I think one of the most sought after from an efficiency and productivity perspective will be agriculture as a vertical. Imagine our yields going exponentially higher because of this amount of economic drive it is going to do it. And all of this will come through this programmability, through this industry and domain collaboration. And I think that is one of the, again, big pillars which is going to drive innovation. I think as communication industry experts, we actually will need to depend and lean on the domain experts coming from other industries, from the agriculture experts, from the manufacturing experts, from the automotive experts, from doctors, educators, and all of that. And I think this integrated power of connectivity and compute, I think that is going to drive innovation towards this whole programmability. Actually, I have translated the Jedi war cry in this whole programmable world, and it actually could say that may the source be with you. And if the source would be with you, I think you could do wonders to whatever way you want it. And that would be the second innovation.
Outstanding, lovely. It's amazing when the conversation is this rich and holds such a vast and connected promise into the future, and we realize that, oh my God, we're already at the top of the hour. It's a quick closing comments, Mallik from you and Shyam from you to say, all of this 5G unfolding and what's the business adoption of cloud that it's going to create. I think if you can, in your closing comment quickly, a sentence or two and touch upon that.
Absolutely. I can start here, Supria. Sure. While 4G created app economy, right? And we believe the future mobile networks will become foundation of our social fabric, bringing people, devices, machines, and physical systems together, right? Shyam touched upon integrated connectivity and compute. I would add one more thing: integrated connectivity, compute, and control due to AI. That transforms the industries. Because, when you are moving towards a data-driven world, you need the connectivity to take data from point A to point B. And then you need the compute to process the data. Then you need intelligence due to AI to extract the value from the data. So connectivity to transport the data, compute to process the data, and AI to extract the value out of the data. I think that integrated connectivity, compute, and control will become the future of mobile networks.
Awesome. Thank you. Shyam, over to you.
Yeah, I think just building on, we are actually moving really, really close to what we've all imagined and dreamt of as of a perfect mobile network. That perfect mobile network will be defined by ubiquity of connectivity and compute. So wherever you are, at whatever time you are, the network will be available in an unlimited capacity to you with the power of connectivity and compute, and the experience will be totally seamless for both men and machines all together the way we need to do it. And this underlying, again borrowing a word out of the computer, this underlying fabric is going to become the backbone or the foundation for the digital society.
Outstanding. What a fabulous conversation. I hate to call it to a close, but we could continue into the hours, and then, and still probably not cover all of it. Shyam, thank you so much. Mallik, thank you so much. It's been absolutely enriching conversation. I have walked away learning a lot, but I think to our viewers, it's going to be fabulously interesting. So, gone are the days when you will say, oops, can't connect, can't hear you, oops, can't run this application, oops, can't download this, oops, can't plug and play. We are all talking about a world which doesn't have any place for excuses, because 5G is here, cloud is here, cloud computing and edge computing is here. Huge amount of connectivity, huge amount of resilient networks. Well, that's what the promise of 5th generation of network called 5G unfolds. And my takeaways are many, but one I absolutely love, and on, is holy trinity of compute, connectivity, and control. Well, that's what Shyam and Mallik have given us. And so stay tuned. I'm excited for 5G, and I hope you are too. Thank you so much for this wonderfully engaging conversation. Shyam and Mallik, wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Supria. Thanks, Shyam.
Thank you, Shyam, Dr. Mallik, for that very interesting discussion. And thank you, Supria, for moderating that interactive talk.